The Center for Deaf Studies at Wits University is celebrating 25 years of leading deaf education in the country. The center introduced the first professional teacher training program for teachers of the deaf in the early 2000s, paving the way for quality deaf education in South Africa. Beyond teaching and research, the institution has been a key contributor towards building an inclusive society. Joining me now is Dr. Claudine Storbeck, Professor and Director at the Center for Deaf Studies at the University of the Witwatersrand. Good to have you on the program this afternoon. And firstly, congratulations on the 25th anniversary of the Center for Deaf Studies at Wits University. Can you share some reflections on the journey and also the evolution of the center over these significant 25 years?
Thanks, Nhlanhla. I think starting the center 25 years ago, one of the biggest reflections has been that I couldn't wait for the money. So from the start, it was a leap of faith. From the start, I knew it needed to happen. And I just had to find an institution that was willing to take the risk with me. And Wits was. And, one person, and then we became two, and then we became three, and started teacher training, sign language courses. Then we started developing books and resources. Then we started working with deaf babies. But I think the thing that's really been significant for us is that we've been bringing in, empowering more and more deaf people to take control and to take leadership, not just work with. And so currently deaf education is actually headed up by Dr. Lucas Machongwa, a deaf teacher. And I think that's the legacy we're wanting to leave behind. And so that, looking back over the 25 years, it's not just the research and teaching and the great things that we've been able to do, but the people and the human resources we've been able to, help encourage and grow.
So the Film and Arts Festival seems like a fantastic celebration of the deaf culture. What inspired the choice of Handspeak and the group of deaf Korean performers? And how do you think this cultural exchange enhances the festival experience?
So there's a young NGO that we work with called Soshigo, run by young deaf people. And these young deaf people had started exploring different cultural arts. And they'd just come back from the World Federation for the Deaf Conference, and they'd met Handspeak. And they just said that they were spectacular. And so when we said, let's try and invite them. And within 3 weeks, we were, booking air tickets without money. We were booking things because, again, you can't wait for money for things to happen. But we chose Handspeak because they are so professional, and we wanted to have another cultural impact with our group, but also to show the world that with experience and training, deaf performers can be doing world-class things. And then, of course, just having the ambassador of the Republic of Korea get involved and just be wanted to get involved and engage with us and just engage with this various culture. So it's Korean culture, South African culture, Korean deaf culture, South African deaf culture. So 4 different cultures coming together. It was just magnificent.
So the center has played a crucial role in introducing the first professional teacher training program for teachers of the deaf. How has this initiative impacted the quality of deaf education in the country over the years?
So I think when we started 25 years ago, anyone could become a teacher of the deaf, whether you signed or not. Sadly, over the years, we've had no government indications of saying, in order to be a teacher of the deaf, you need to have qualifications, you need to be able to sign. So the training that we've offered has attracted teachers who have wanted to train, who've wanted to improve. And so we definitely have had a significant impact on teachers changing their mindsets in terms of what deaf children can and can't do and how to teach children with the deaf pedagogy. But there's so much more we still need to do, but we'll only be able to do it once government actually says, in order to be a teacher of the deaf, you need to sign and you need to be able to do a professional qualification like in the rest of the world. So sadly, if you don't want to train and if you don't want to take the time to work hard and equip yourself, we still have teachers in schools for the deaf that have never trained and have never learned to sign well.
Dr. Storbeck, tell us a bit more about the High Hopes program. I mean, it supports families of deaf and hard of hearing babies across 6 provinces, and this work is quite commendable. Could you share a success story or even an example that highlights the positive impact of this particular program on families?
Yes. The biggest impact we realize when kids go to school is that they can't communicate with their parents as deaf children, and that they didn't have language. So they didn't know their name when they went to grade 0 to grade 1. And so coming alongside parents and just sitting with them, first of all through the kind of grieving process, and then helping them communicate with their child. So Dr. Ali Bacher, who's very, very big in South African cricket, a few years ago, his granddaughter is deaf. And when she was 3 months old, she was diagnosed, and he picked up the phone and phoned me and said, "Claudine, my granddaughter's deaf, can you come and help?" And she just had her bat mitzvah the other day and invited me to come and experience this successful young 12-year-old after working with her since she was 4 months old. And yesterday we had one of the single moms who was showcasing her son as a grade 11 boy since coming into High Hopes as a baby, communicating with each other like no other family can, because traditionally deaf families don't learn to sign. And so seeing these young kids become young adults and families being empowered. So our families can challenge doctors, can ask for second opinions. Our parents know how to make choices and know when they can't make choices, and then they ask for more information. So our parents are empowered. Not only do we work with the children.
So the Safe Space program is another crucial initiative. Speak to us a bit more about this one. How does the program provide support, and what challenges has it also addressed in promoting the well-being of deaf victims?
Yes. I mean, if you can believe it, in 2022, 2023, with all the information and the technology we have, a deaf person could still not go and report a rape, report domestic abuse, report crime, because the police could not sign and didn't know how to take a statement. And so the type of support we've provided is the NPA has been very, very excited about getting involved, along with the Tutuila Care Centres. And we've sent out videos to all the centres on how to sign. We're putting in place a system that if a victim comes to any of those TCC centres around the country, that a video is shown to the person to sit down, calm down, and know what to expect, to talk them through, allowing them to then phone an interpreter so that the interpreter is ready to work with them. We're also preparing to teach them deaf culture, but at the same time, we're also supporting the deaf community. So we've helped develop a vocabulary around everything in terms of the body, safety, safeguarding and wellness. And now the deaf community will know how to then use sign language to explain those things. So we're supporting the NPA and the system, as well as the deaf community, and then hopefully deaf people will finally have an opportunity to be able to report a case as soon as it happens, and be able to ask for support if they need legal help. It's still very new, but we have 3 deaf women that we've just finished training through the Lifeline training course. First deaf women who are deaf counsellors. So finally a deaf person can ask for a deaf counsellor if they want.
So the Film and Arts Festival also features the Play Pink tax, shedding light on human trafficking. Can you tell us a bit more about how this performance tackles such a sensitive and challenging subject, especially with the use of a South African Sign Language interpretation?
Yes, it was quite remarkable because it wasn't just a South African Sign Language interpreter. She is an expert in performance interpreting, which is a totally different skill. So you've got to be fluent in sign language and then do performance. It was really magnificent. They did 2 different scenes for us, and it was kind of a before and after to see the change. And there were really just 4 young actors showing the deaf world what hearing theatre looks like, and what hearing theatre looks like when it's accessible with sign language. And then that was put against the backdrop of all the other theatre last night that we had by deaf people, for deaf people, with 100% access through the performers, the actors themselves, and then with Pink Tax through the hearing actors in sign language. And it really was a lovely opportunity, and of course a very, very serious topic. And with deaf people experiencing quite a lot of challenges themselves, it was good to be watching and learning about other areas that hearing people also experience. Kind of takes the deaf community out of their struggles to also see other struggles. It was valuable on so many levels.
We are fast running out of time, but before I let you go, the Wits Center houses the largest single collection of art by deaf artists in Africa. How does this collection contribute to the development and recognition of deaf culture, and what role does art play in fostering inclusivity as well?
Art is a place that hearing and deaf can come together, and you really can experience it without language. And so we've attracted people who would never have usually been interested in deafness. And the deaf art, you can either just be an artist who happens to be deaf and no one would know. There is deaf cultural art where there's sign language and deaf cultural aspects in the pictures. And then we have something called activism art, which is often angry and shows the history of oppression and activism that was needed to achieve the successes. It is a remarkable living art gallery that is open to the public at any time to come and see. And each of the artists have been interviewed. And there is a QR code. And for the first time ever, deaf people have been able to talk about their art. And deaf children and adults have been able to experience art through a deaf artist's eyes. Again, if you've never been asked to communicate with something, about something, you don't have the language. And so we're helping them also create a language around art. So it's really, open to the public. Please come and visit.
Dr. Storbeck, thank you very much for your time. That was Dr. Claudine Storbeck, Professor and Director at the Center for Deaf Studies at the University of the Witwatersrand.